Good evening, friends. We were discussing on the day about the test paper 6. So the test paper is of the Reserve Bank of India guidelines issued in the year 2019 and 2020. So based on that only our internal circulars and guidelines were issued, which we have been discussing. So we will continue the question paper discussion. Whatever maximum possible, we will try to finish. Because by 9 o'clock I will close the session because you have to go in for online test. Okay. So question number 13 we saw on that day with regard to the RTGS discipline by the RTGS members. Question number 13, which one of the following is not a required discipline by RTGS member? I told you that is participant interface of PI of sending bank to release the amount to RTGS central server within 30 minutes of debiting the customer's account. That is a relevant guideline. Customer's account to be credited within 30 minutes of receipt of the amount by participant interface of the receiving bank. That is also a relevant guideline. If not, to be returned to the sending bank within 1 hour of receipt by the participant interface of the receiving bank or before the end of the RTGS business day, whichever is earlier. That is also a relevant guideline. If time discipline is not followed, penalty per day to be paid to customers is bank rate plus 2%. I told you that is irrelevant. That you have to tick for the answer. For question number 13, answer is D. For all of you should keep your paper and pen and question paper with you. Then only you can write down the correct answer. Again and again asking the answer is immaterial. So please note down the answer for question number 13. Answer is D. So what is the correct answer? So here the option is, if time discipline is not followed, penalty per day to be paid to customer is to the customers is bank rate plus 2%. That is not correct. The correct answer is it is repo rate plus 2%. So for question number 13, you have to tick D as the answer. So what is the correct answer? It is repo rate plus 2%. If there is delay in crediting the customer's account or returning back the RTGS member, that is as told here, if you do it beyond 30 minutes or whatever it is mentioned, so bank has to pay a penalty of bank repo rate plus 2% to the customer. Okay, question number 14. As per RBI circular dated 28th June 2019, it has been decided that the minimum leverage ratio shall be dash for domestic systematically important bank, DSIBs, and dash for other banks. Just to note down the figure, for the domestic systemically important bank, it is 4%. For question number 14, the answer is 4%. And for the second to fill up the blanks, the answer is 3.5%. So as per RBI circular dated 28th June 2019, it has been decided that the minimum leverage ratio should be 4% for domestic systemically important banks and 3.5 for other banks. This has to be implemented as on which date? It has to be implemented as on 1/4/2021. Okay, this we have discussed already somewhere. So this as the 4% and 3.5% to be implemented as on 1/4/2021. If they ask the 4% or 3.5% or what is the date, you should be able to know. It is 4% for domestic and systemically important banks. For other banks, it is 3.5%. Question number 14, answer is 4% and 3.5%. Question number 15, for adjudication of mutilated notes, banks will get an incentive of rupees dash per piece. Okay, so what is a mutilated note? We already discussed, if I am correct. All of you are aware what is a mutilated note, sir? A mutilated note is a note which is cut into two pieces and one piece is not available. If both the pieces are available, it is called that is soiled note. Okay, but again I repeat the mutilated note. A mutilated note is a note which is cut into two pieces and one piece is not available. Then a mutilated note is the note which is cut into more than two pieces and all pieces are available. A mutilated note is a note which is cut into more than two pieces and one piece is missing. And then all mismatched notes are also mutilated notes. Cut into two pieces, one piece is missing. Cut into more than two pieces, all pieces are available. Cut into more than two pieces, one piece is missing. And all mismatched notes or mutilated notes. For exchanging the mutilated notes from the customer, how much you have to give depending upon the square centimeter area, which we saw in the first test 2 or test 1. Okay, for adjudication of that is for adjudication of the mutilated notes, bank will get an incentive of rupees 2 per piece. One piece if you exchange, you will get 2 rupees per piece. Okay, that is incentive. Then question number that is question number 16. The incentive banks get for distribution of coins over the counter of bank branches. If you distribute coins over the bank branches, the incentive you will get rupees 25 per bag. These are all the very simple questions. Suddenly they will ask. See, your question paper will be, some questions will be tough, some papers questions will be very easy, some questions will be like this single line. So these questions immediately you should get. So question number 16, the incentive banks get for distribution of coins over the counter of bank branches is rupees 25 per bag. Okay, question number 16, answer is 25 per bag. Question number 16, answer is 25 per bag. Question number 17, banks to exchange soiled notes free of cost and credit. What is a soiled note? Cut into 2 pieces and both the pieces are available. That is a soiled note. Banks to exchange soiled notes free of cost and credit customers' account on the same day when the number of notes presented by the customer is up to 20 pieces with a maximum value of rupees 5,000 per day. So either 5,000 rupees if he gives or 20 pieces if he gives, it should not exceed 5,000. Number of pieces also should not exceed 20. So when a customer gives, that is soiled notes to the extent of 20 pieces per day with a maximum value of rupees 5,000 per day, then that is bank has to exchange the soiled notes and credit to the customer's accounts immediately on the same day. If the bank is not able to do, then bank has to tell the customer to come within a particular day, and on that day the money will be credited to the customer. Anyhow, the number of days should not be more than 30 days. So when he gives a 20 pieces up to the value of 5,000, on the same day soiled note to be exchanged and amount to be credited to the customer. So if the given number of pieces or amount more than that, the amount has to be exchanged and credited to the customer anyhow, not beyond 30 days from his tendering the notes to you. Okay, if they ask the 30 days also, you should be able to write. Question number 17. So for question number 17, the answer is 20 pieces. First fill in the blanks. The answer is 20 pieces and maximum value of rupees 5,000 per day. These questions are frequently asking. So 20 pieces with a maximum value of rupees 5,000 per day. Then for the exchange, question number 18, we are going. For exchange of soiled notes, bank will get a commission of, for exchange of soiled notes, bank will get a commission of rupees 2 per packet. See, for mutilated note, it is 2 per piece. For soiled note, it is 2 per packet. Okay, packet means 100 pieces, one section. We used to say one section. No, that is one packet. For exchange of soiled notes, bank will get a commission of rupees 2 per packet for denomination up to 50 only. 1 rupee, 2 rupee, then 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 50 rupees. If you exchange a soiled note above 50 rupees, that is 100 rupees, 200 rupees, 500 rupees, 2000, etc., no incentive at all. Okay, for exchange of soiled notes, bank will get a commission of rupees 2 per packet. For denomination up to rupees 50 only. Beyond 50 denomination, there is no commission. Any question asked, you should be able to answer. 100 pieces, one packet. For one packet, bank will get a commission of 2 rupees. And if it is only for denomination up to 50, if the denomination is above 50, the bank will not get any incentive. So for question number 18, the answer is rupees 2. So for question number 18, the answer is rupees 2. From there, I have given other types of questions which will be asked in the examination also. Question number 19. Notes containing slogan or messages of political nature is not a legal tender and it should not be accepted by banks. True. If a note contains a political slogan, it is not a legal tender. Those notes should not be accepted by banks or exchanged by banks. Answer is true. Question number 19, answer is true. Question number 20. So question number 20. For delayed credit of pension or pension arrears, agency banks have to pay a penalty of -% per annum for the delayed period. You know, banks are doing that. There is pension payments also. Okay. So whenever there is a delay, there is a time limit on the day the pension to be credited. For the retired employees of our banks, like me, I am getting the pension on the last working day of the month. Okay. So like that, the days are fixed by various departments. If there is a delay in crediting the pension, bank has to pay a penalty penalty of rupees, that is at the rate of 8% per annum for the delayed period. So 8% per, so 3 days, if it is delayed, 8% per annum for 3 days, you have to calculate and give credit to the customer's account, either pension or pension arrears. So for question number 20, answer is 8%. So for question number 20, answer is 8%. Question number 21. For wrong claim of agency commission from RBI, agency banks are liable to pay a penalty of -% above the prevailing dash rate. So, you know, you are doing various, that is government business, pension, that is you are issuing Kisan Vikas Patra, or you are doing senior citizen savings scheme, various government business the bank is doing, receipts, payments, etc. So for that, every quarter, the bank has to claim the money from Reserve Bank of India, commission. What are all the work I have done? This is the commission you have to pay. So if there is a wrong claim in the commission by the bank, Reserve Bank will give whatever you are asking. But subsequently, the CAG auditors will come to the branch. They will go through. If there is a excess commission, if you have claimed a wrong excess amount of commission from Reserve Bank of India, then they will impose a penalty at the rate of 2% above the prevailing rate. These numbers you should know. So here, when the RTGS is delayed, what is the penalty? 2% above the repo rate. Isn't it, sir? Whereas here you see, if there is a wrong claim in the agency commissioned by the banks, then they have to pay a penalty of 2% above the prevailing bank rate. So for question number 21, 2%, first to fill up the blanks is 2% above the prevailing bank rate. For the wrong claim of agency commission from RBI, agency banks are liable to pay a penalty of 2% above the prevailing bank rate, above the prevailing bank rate. Okay, these are all the questions being asked by IBPS. Okay, the next question. Maximum questions we'll go through because they're all direct questions. So then, as per RBI guidelines, what is the maximum charge? So as per RBI guidelines, what is the maximum charge a bank can levy to its SB customers when they use their debit cards in their bank's own ATMs for cash withdrawal for 6th time in a month, irrespective of ATM location within India? Friends, you know, whenever you use the debit card, in metro centers, so there are 6 metro centers, we'll see the PowerPoint presentation, up to 3 transactions in a month, either financial or non-financial, it is free. Above three transactions, it has to be charged. Similarly, non-metro centers, 5 transactions are free, beyond 5 due to be charged. But what is the question here? As per RBI guidelines, what is the maximum charge a bank can levy to its SB customers when they use their debit cards in their bank's own ATMs for cash withdrawal for the 6th time in a month, irrespective of the ATM location within India? Whether you tell me, that is, we are all Canara Bank, isn't it? Whether our customer, we forget about staff, because for staff everything is free. That is why we do not know the pinching. So for example, customers, when the customers use the debit card in Canara Bank ATM, okay, you will forget about other bank ATM. When the customer of Canara Bank, of current account holders or SB account holders, so when they use their debit card in their own bank ATM, Canara Bank SB account holder using the debit card in Canara Bank ATM. So what is the charge we are charging? Even if it is 100 transactions in a month, we are not charging anything. Isn't it? But the question is, what Canara Bank is not doing is not the question. Read the question. As per RBI guidelines, what is the maximum charge a bank can levy to its SB customers when they use their debit cards in their own bank ATM for cash withdrawal for the 6th time in a month, irrespective of ATM location within India? Let us see the PowerPoint presentation. You will be able to answer the question. See, you see the slides, sir. Usage of ATM charges. The first slide is with regard to your customer using the debit card in other bank ATM. What RBI says and our bank says. The question is our bank. Okay, we'll come there. So here the slide before you is using your customer using your debit card in your bank ATM. What is account? Current account. For current account customers, SB customer, because for ODOCC customer, you should not give debit card. Okay, that will question is coming there. We will see separately. Using debit card in other bank ATM. So what is the account? Current account. What Reserve Bank of India says? Reserve Bank of India says, so that is for a current account holder of Canara Bank using the debit card in Canara Bank ATM, first time in a month, you can charge 20 rupees, either financial or non-financial. Okay, so what RBI guidelines says, for Canara Bank customer using debit card, sorry, in other bank ATM, I'm very sorry. So Canara Bank customer using debit card, current account holder using his debit card in other bank ATM, first time in a month, either financial or non-financial, RBI says 20 rupees can be charged. What Canara Bank is doing? Canara Bank current account holder using his debit card for first transaction onwards in any other bank. What Canara Bank is telling, for financial transaction, Canara Bank is charging 20 rupees, and for non-financial transaction, Canara Bank is charging 10 rupees plus GST. So what RBI says, Canara Bank, that is one bank customer, current account customer using his debit card in another bank, from the first transaction onwards in a month, you can charge him either financial or non-financial. The charges should not be more than 20 rupees plus GST. Canara Bank is also doing, but Canara Bank for non-financial it is charging 10 rupees, and for financial it is charging 20 rupees. This is with regard to your bank customer using the debit card in another bank ATM in a first month. Okay, sir. Next, what about SB customer? What Reserve Bank of India says, what we are telling. So Reserve Bank of India telling, that is SB customers of Canara Bank using other bank ATM. First 3 transactions, either financial or non-financial, 3 free in 6 metros: Mumbai, Kolkata, Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai. In those places, if they use the debit card, first 3 transactions only free. Beyond 3 transactions, that is your SB customer using the debit card in another bank, in a month, first 3 transactions in metro cities, it is free of cost. So beyond 3 transactions, you can charge 20 rupees per transaction. In other than the 6 metros, the free transactions are 5 per month. Beyond 5, you can charge 20 rupees. What Canara Bank is doing? Canara Bank is also doing the same thing. If SB customers of Canara Bank using the debit card in another bank ATM in the 5 metros, that is in the 6 metros, if it is exceeds 3 in a month, so you are charging for financial 20, non-financial 10. What RBI says, you can charge both 20 rupees, but Canara Bank is so liberal that it is charging only 10 rupees for non-financial and 20 rupees for financial transaction beyond 3 and 5. So first 2 slides are what? SB customers using, current customer using debit card in other banks ATM in a month. So that is SB customers using debit card in another bank ATM, that is in a month. So for what is Reserve Bank of India says, what Canara Bank says. Okay, sir. Now, next slide we will see. Now, this is using your own ATM. The first 2 slides are using other bank ATM. Now, the next 2 slides are using your own ATM. What Reserve Bank says, what Canara Bank does, let us see. Usage of own bank ATM. So, your debit card holders, your current account holders, your SB account holders using the debit card in the bank own ATM, not other bank ATM. What Reserve Bank of India says, this is the question. This is the question what I have put to that. You recollect the question. When we go to the question, you will understand. For current account, banks can fix charges even from the first transaction. Your current account holder using your bank ATM debit card, even from the first transaction, you can charge maximum 20 rupees, either financial or non-financial. And if it is if it is SB customer, first your bank ATM. Your bank, I'm not talking about other bank ATM. For SB customers, first 5 transactions, when they use in your ATM, free. Beyond the 5th transaction, no location, wherever your debit card ATM is there, your SB customer using the debit card in a month, either financial or non-financial, first 5 transactions is free. Beyond 5 transaction, if you want, you can fix maximum 20 rupees. What our bank is. So this is Reserve Bank of India guideline. Own bank customer using the debit card in the same bank ATM. What the Reserve Bank says, for current account, first transaction onwards, you can charge 20 rupees if you want. For SBI account holders, first free you should not charge. Beyond 5, you should charge them. That is what Reserve Bank of India telling. What is the maximum charge? 20 rupees. So in our bank, for all our customers using our debit card in our ATM, what we are doing? No charges. Reserve Bank says you can charge 20 rupees, but either current account holder or SB account holder using their cards in our customers using their cards in our bank ATM, even though RBI says you can charge 20 rupees for current account from first transaction, for SB account beyond 5 transactions, in our bank, we are not charging anything. So this is RBI guidelines. This is your internal guidelines. You should not charge beyond 20 rupees. But if you want to charge, you can charge less than 20. If you do not want to charge, you need not charge at all. Always RBI guidelines charges is the maximum charges. If you want, you should not charge anything beyond that. So that is less than that, you can charge. If you do not want to charge, you need not charge at all. Okay, some customers will come and tell you, sir, other bank is not charging. That bank has decided they do not want to charge. For example, our bank, you see, our bank SB account holders using. So our bank SB account customers using their debit cards. So in Canara Bank ATM, what is the charges? Our bank is not charging, even though RBI has given a permission to charge 20 rupees for current customers, even from the first transaction, and that is 20 rupees for more than 5 transactions in the case of the SB customers. Then now we told no 3 transactions and 5 transactions, etc. Last year this guideline has come. See, for counting the number of transactions, suppose. So which type of transaction should not be counted for fixing the maximum limit of 3 transactions or 5 transactions? That is a question. So ATM transaction, see the heading of the slide. ATM transaction not to be counted for charges. ATM transaction not to be counted for charges. Honest and off-us transaction. That means what? Our customer using our ATM. Our customer using other bank ATM. So the number of charges is the number of times, no more than 5 times, 6 times we saw. No, to take into account the number of times, these are all the things should not be included. For example, our customer using on our ATM, our customer offers transaction, our customer using another bank ATM. Suppose if the transaction fails on account of technical reasons like hardware, software, communication issues. Now the communication issue started before we started the class. So because of that, if the customer is putting, it is asking the PIN number, it is asking whatever it is. So when the money is coming, there is some communication gap. So electricity failure. So those transactions should not be, money is not coming to the customer. Those transactions should not be counted for the free transaction purpose. Okay, you should exclude that. Similarly, customer is putting everything the machine will ask. What is your name? What is your date of birth? What is your debit card? What is your PIN number? Everything it will put, then it will say no cash in the correct system. So that also bank should not count as the number of transactions. Non-availability of currency notes in the ATM. Invalid PIN validation. He is putting a wrong PIN number. So because he puts the wrong PIN number, you should not take it as a one transaction. It will be declined, one slip will come wrong PIN. So that should not be counted for, that is the number of transactions. Either your customer uses in your ATM or if he uses in other bank ATM. So honest and off-us transactions, these things should not be taken into account for number of transactions. Suppose if the customer is using the debit card in your ATM, that is honest transaction. Suppose for balance inquiry, he is asking balance inquiry. For current account holder, SB account holder, that is as on date, we are not making any charges. Suppose if you want to make any charges, if the customer is asking balance inquiry on our ATM, that should not be counted at all for number of transactions. Suppose if you're going and putting for a checkbook request, that should not be counted. Payment of taxes, if he's using debit card and making government taxes, that should not be counted as a number of transaction. Funds transfer, through ATM you can transfer funds, no, various IMPS or NEFT, various methods are there, but we don't have time to stand and do it. We'll do at our home only. So for funds transfer, when your customer does the ATM transaction in your bank ATM, these things 1, 2, 3, 4, balance inquiry, checkbook request, payment of taxes, funds transfer, these things should not be taken into account as number of transactions for the maximum number of transactions. Let us quickly go through the question paper. Question number 22, please read. Now you will give me the correct answer. As per RBI guidelines, what is the maximum charge a bank can levy to its SB customers when they use their debit cards in their bank ATMs for cash withdrawal for the 6th time in a month, irrespective of the ATM location? What I told you, RBI says up to 5 transactions for SB customers in your ATM, your debit card holders free. Beyond from 6th time onwards, you can charge maximum 20 rupees. So what is that? So rupees 20 per transaction, rupees 10 per transaction, 25% transaction, no charges. You should not put no charges. The no charges is in your bank, isn't it? So as per RBI guideline, the maximum charge is 20 per transaction. Question number 22, answer is A. Question number 22, answer is A. That is why I explained so much. For 5 slides, any question will come. Okay, sir. Then, as per RBI guidelines dated 14th August 2019, again I repeat, as per RBI guidelines dated 14th August 2019, when a customer of Bank A uses his card in the bank's own ATM, when Canara Bank customer using the debit card in Canara Bank ATM to verify his balance inquiry, and if the number of transactions exceeds the limit, 3 in metro, 5 in non-metro, in a month, the maximum charge the bank can levy is your customer using your debit card for what purpose? Balance inquiry, honest transaction, balance inquiry, checkbook request, money transfer. For all those things, you should not take into number of transactions beyond 3, 4, and you should not charge. The answer is nil. So what is this? As per RBI guidelines, when a customer of Bank A uses his card in the bank's own ATM to verify his balance, and if the number of transactions exceeds 3 or 5 in metro or non-metro, you should not charge the customer at all. Anyway, we are not charging. RBI says these things should not be counted for 5 or 3, whatever it is. Answer is the RBI banks can levy 0, no charges. Okay, no charges. Question number 24. A BSBD account, okay, and the BSBD account is a fully KYC compliant account. We saw the question somewhere, no? Yes, BSBD account is a fully KYC compliant account. Who can open BSBD account? Anybody can open, but certain conditions are there. We already discussed about the condition, isn't it? So if he is having any other account, that has to be closed within 30 days. He should give a declaration that he is not having any other BSBD account in any bank in India. Then you can give only maximum 4 withdrawals in a month. You can give only 50 checks. So then that is for credit. In unlimited number of credits he can do. Beyond 50 check leave, if you're asking for more check leave, you can give. You should not insist on minimum balance. If you want to charge beyond 50 leaves, you can charge. So BSBD account, the main idea is no minimum balance charges. No minimum balance charges. It is a truly, that is fully KYC compliant account. Okay, yes, full. A BSBD account is a fully KYC compliant account. Answer is A, true. Then question number 25. As per RBI guidelines dated 2/8/2019, a BSBD account holder is eligible for certain basic facilities without any charges as well as without any minimum balance requirement. What are all the facilities he can get? He should get the free debit card. You should not charge him that 125 rupees or 150 rupees for debit card. Then you should, for number of credits, no restriction, either cash credit or check credit in the account. For others, more than this much cash credit you are charging. No. For BSBD account holders, whatever amount they are crediting, irrespective of the number of credits or amount of credit, either by cash or check, whatever it is, no charges. No minimum balance charges. Withdrawal maximum 4 in a month, including ATM withdrawal you can permit. You can give him maximum per month 4 means you can give maximum 50 check leaves free of cost. These are all the free things you are doing for a BSBD account holder. Suppose if the customer wants something more, for example, he is coming and asking, give me 60 check leaves, sir. You can give 60 check leaves. At that time, you should not insist for check leaves. The minimum balance should be this much. No. If you want, you can charge additional rupee for the 10 check leaves. No minimum balance requirement you should insist on. That is the question. As per RBI guidelines dated 2/8/2019, a BSBD account holder is eligible for certain basic facilities without any charges as well as without any minimum balance requirement. As per this, we issue 50 check leaves free of cost in a year. If the customer requests for 60 check leaves, bank should not issue. Can issue with required minimum balance criteria. Can issue charges if any. None of these. So for question number 25, answer is C. I explained to you already. For question number 25, answer is C. Bank can issue additional check leaves, but with the charges, you should not insist on the minimum balance. You should not say, I will not give. You have to give whatever charge you want. You have to charge him, but you should publish on your website what charges you will be collecting for the customer. Okay. Without customer knowing, you cannot debit his account whatever you want. Okay. So can issue charge that can issue with the charges if any. If you don't want to collect any charges also, you can do. So okay, RBI says with the charges you can issue additional facilities to him. Question number 25, answer is C. Question number 26. As per amendment to KYC guidelines issued by RBI on 9/8/2019, where an individual is a prisoner in a jail, for opening his account, the signature or thumb imprint shall be affixed in the presence of the officer in charge of the jail, and the said officer shall certify the same under his signature, and the account shall remain operational on annual submission of certificate of proof of address issued by the officer in charge of the jail. In our bank, these accounts will be opened as normal SB accounts, BSBD accounts, small SB account, no account to be opened. So you have to open the account. The account is a small SB account. What is the difference between a BSBD and small SB account? BSBD account, fully KYC compliant account. What is a small SB account? The customer comes to you, he is not having any address proof or ID proof. He wants to open an account. So what he has to do? He has to come in person in front of you from the bank official. He has to affix the photograph. So the officer who is opening the account has to certify that this person has opened the account. So this is called a small SB account. So this account is an operational for 12 months. After 12 months, he has to, if you want to extend the account operation, you should come and give you a certificate stating that, sir, I applied for Aadhaar card. I applied for driving license. So this is the proof I am yet to get. Once I get, I will give you my address proof and ID proof. So you will extend for another 12 months. Beyond 12 months, this account should not be continued to be open. Okay, within 12 plus 12, 24 months, a decision has to be taken. And what is that? Another condition is also there, no, for the small SB account. So maximum in a month withdrawal is only 10,000. So whatever maximum in a month, including debit card or transfers, maximum withdrawal is only 10,000 per month. Then, so that is a maximum outstanding in the account should not exceed 50,000. And in the year, and it should not exceed 50,000. Maximum credit in the account in a financial year should not exceed more than 1 lakh. These are all the features of the small SB account. Suppose a person wants to open an account who is in a jail. When somebody is in the jail, they will do some work. Money will be given by the jailer to him. He wants to deposit in a bank account. He cannot come to the bank. No, the jailer will attach his photograph, etc. Then he will give to you. You can open an account. That account is called a small SB account. For question number 26, answer is small SB account. In detail, I explained to you about the small SB account also. From that question asked also, you should be able to answer the question. We are not restricting ourselves to only one answer. We are continuing with other type of possible questions also. I explained to you BSBD account. I explained to you about the small SB account. For jail person, it is a small SB account. So question number 26, answer is small SB accounts. Question number 27. As per circular dated 21st August 2019 of Reserve Bank of India, with effect from 26th August 2019, the final cutoff time for RTGS transaction is 18 hours, 6 p.m., 19:45 hours, 8 p.m. At what time RTGS starts? 7 a.m. So what is the initial cutoff? Initial cutoff means the time at which it is stopped for the customers. What is the initial cutoff? 18 hours. That is 6 p.m. Okay. What is the final cutoff? The final cutoff is the transaction stops for interbank transaction. That is 1945 hours, 7:45 p.m. What is the RTGS end day? 8 p.m. That is 20 p.m. So from 1945 to 20 p.m., 15 hours. What is that? Intraday liquidity reversal. So what is that intraday liquidity? So you would have borrowed money from Reserve Bank of India in the morning. So evening before closure, you have to credit back the money to Reserve Bank of India account. That is called IDL, intraday liquidity. So RTGS starting time 7 a.m. For first initial cutoff is customer transaction coming to an end. That is 8 p.m. That is 6 p.m. That is 18 hours. Then final cutoff, that is the transactions for the interbank also stops. That is at 7:45 p.m. 1945 hours. Then the end of day, that is it is at the 20 hours. That is 8 p.m. That 15 minutes is for IDL reversal. So the answer for the question is, as per circular dated 21st August 2000, this question they asked from HKP to clerk last year in Canara Bank, HKP to clerk. As per RBI circular dated 21st August 2019 of RBI, with effect from 26th August 2019, the final cutoff for RTGS transaction timings is 1945 hours. Okay, 1945. So RTGS timings are, that is Indian Standard Time, like railway times. Okay, it is not 7:45. It is 1945 hours, not 7:45 p.m. It is 1945 hours. Okay, so answer is 1945 hours. For question number 27, answer is C. Question number 28. RBI, by its notification dated August 2019, informed that for cash withdrawal in POS, point of sales, through debit cards, customer charges should not be more than 1%, 2%, 3%, 5% of the transaction amount. See, by using your debit card, so you can go and withdraw cash not only in ATMs from the merchant establishment, wherever the POS point of sales are there. So you can use the debit card and they can give you cash. How much maximum cash per day you can withdraw? In tier 1 and tier 2 centers, maximum 1,000 rupees you can withdraw. What is a tier 1 center? Where the population is 1 lakh and above. Where the population is 1 lakh and above, we saw somewhere, no, in social infrastructure, agriculture, isn't it? So tier 1, tier 2 centers, etc. we saw. You have to recollect. Okay, so tier 1 center is where population is 1 lakh and above. What is a tier 2 center? Population is 50,000 to 99,999. Where the population is 1 lakh and above, 50,000 and 99,999 in tier 1 and tier 2 centers. In the POS, if you use the debit card and you withdraw money per day, maximum 1,000 rupees you can withdraw. In remaining centers, tiers, that is tier 3 to tier 6. So there are totally 6 tiers, whereas population is 4: rural, semi-urban, urban, metropolitan. Here it is tier 1, tier 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for the remaining tiers, that is tier 3 to tier 6 centers, the maximum cash withdrawal in POS per day is rupees 2,000. Any question they will ask. Okay, what is the tier population they will ask? What is the maximum cash withdrawal in POS in tier 1 and tier 2, or in tier 3 to tier 6 centers? In tier 3 to tier 6 centers, the withdrawal is 2,000 rupees per day. Whatever amount is withdrawn, what is the maximum charges bank can with you impose for withdrawing the cash? It is 1%. So for question number 28, it should not be more than 1%. And one more, so for question number 28, answer is 1%. Okay, I explained to you something more also. Answer is 1%. Here, what you want to know here, this facility is available only when you use your debit card. This facility of cash withdrawal is not in POS, is not available for credit cards. Suppose in the exam they will give, oh, so you will not see debit card or credit card. Oh, this fellow has told 1%, tick 1%. No, this is only by using the debit cards. If you use the credit card, you cannot withdraw cash in the POS, but you can withdraw in the ATMs. Okay, so by using the debit card in POS, tier 1 to tier 2, then tier 3 to tier 6, per day 1,000, per day 2,000, the maximum charges is 1%. Okay, sir. For question number 28, answer is 1%. For this question, it is 1%. Many things I explained to you. Question number 29. All new floating, so all new floating rate personal or retail loans, housing loan, or auto loan, etc., and floating loans to micro and small enterprises extended by banks from 1st October 2019 shall be benchmarked to 4 of the following as per RBI guidelines dated 4th September 2019. Which one is not a benchmark? Friends, you know, till that is 1st October 2019, for all loans, we have been charging a rate known as MCLR. Even now, agriculture also, you are having now MCLR, isn't it? So till October 2019, 1st October, for all loans, whether it is a retail loan, agriculture loan, or MSC loan, whatever it is, banks have been charging only the MCLR. But Reserve Bank has told from 1/1/2019 for retail loans and for MSC, not MSME. But in our bank, we permitted MSME also. So what RBI told, from 1/10/2019, all retail loans and MSC loans, you cannot go by MCLR. You have to fix a fresh rate, and that rate should be linked to certain rates. You link it to any rate, whatever you want, then you announce the rate. All banks linked the rates to repo rate. Okay, that is, you know what is repo rate. All banks linked the rates to repo rate. So repo linked lending rate, RLLR. So RBI has told you can link it to anything. I will give you 4 options. Out of the 4 options, you can link it to anything. Mostly all the banks have linked into repo rate, RLLR. Now here the question is, which one is not the rate you can link? Okay, RBI told you can link to 4 options, which I will give to you. But the question is, which one is not a benchmark? You should not link it to what? So you can link it to repo rate. We also link it to repo rate, reverse repo. So you can link it to Government of India 3 months treasury bill yielding rate published by Financial Benchmark India Private Limited. Government of India 6 months treasury bill yield published by FBIL. Any other benchmark market interest rate published by FBIL. You can link to anything, but you should not link it to reverse repo rate. Okay, the question is, suppose we have 3 to 4, the question will come, isn't it? So which are all the benchmark rates with which you can link? But all banks have linked to repo rate. So you can link it to repo rate, or you can link it to Government of India 3 months treasury rate, or 6 months treasury bill rate, or any other rate given by FBIL, but you should not link it to reverse repo rate. For question number 29, answer is B. Question number 29, answer is B. Question number 30. RBI by its guidelines dated 12/9/2019 informed that risk weight for consumer credit, including personal loans, excluding credit card receivables, changed from -% to -%. So earlier for personal loan, what is a personal loan? Canara Pension, Canara Budget. These are all the personal loans, isn't it? Examples of personal loans. So, and credit card receivable. So you are having a credit card. What is a risk weight? Risk weight is nothing but the capital you have to keep for certain types of advances. I told you what, in the case of a housing loan, risk weight is linked to what? It is linked to the LTV ratio. What is the revised guidelines? If the LTV ratio is less than or equal to 80%, the risk weight is 50%. If the LTV ratio is above 80% up to 90%, the risk weight is 50%. The recent RBI guidelines, no, Visa, these questions will come. So risk weight is not the lesser the LTV ratio, lesser risk for the bank, more promoters margin. That is why lesser risk weight. If the LTV ratio is more, then the promoters margin is less, more risk for the bank, more risk weight. Everything we saw. Similarly, for other categories, straight away the risk weight is given. For commercial real estate exposure, it is 100% risk weight. For commercial real estate, residential housing, it is 75% risk weight. For capital, venture capital is 125% risk weight. For retail exposure, it is 75% risk weight. We saw, no? So now the question is, so earlier, before 12/9/2019, for credit card receivables as well as for personal loans, the risk weight was 125%. So before 12/9/2019, both for credit card receivables and for personal loan, the risk weight was 125. But from 12/9/2019, RBI reduced the risk rate for personal loan from 125% to 100%. So what is that today? The risk weight for personal loan, it is 100% from 125 to 100. But for credit card receivable, the same 125% is maintained. Again, I repeat. So before 12/9/2019, the risk weight for credit card receivables and personal loans, it was 125%. From 12/9/2019, the risk weight for personal loan has been reduced from 125% to 100%, whereas for credit card receivable, it continues to be 125%. Any question asked, you should not miss. Okay, quickly we'll see. RBI, question number 30, sir, 30. RBI, by its guidelines dated 12/9/2019, informed that the risk weight for consumer credit, including personal loans, excluding credit card receivables, for credit card receivables, it's 125%. Excluding credit card receivables is changed from 125% to 100%. You may ask, why you are giving previous things? I told you, if they give two fill of the blanks, you should know the latest previous changes, isn't it? So from 125% to 100%. So for question number 30, the answer is 125% to 100%. Next question. As per Government of India guidelines dated September 19, 2019, agency banks in northeastern regions have to remit the physical government receipts to government accounts with RBI on T+1, T+2, T+3, T+4 days, where T is the transaction day. See, you are receiving government money, the tax collection is taking place. So physical receipt. So customer is coming and remitting. So what you have to do? You have to transfer the money to your nodal branch. The nodal branch will transfer to the Government of India account, which is maintained with Reserve Bank of India. Now the question is, when the customer comes and remits the cash challan, fill up the challan, tax challan, and remits the money to you, whether you can keep in your SL for years together? No. So there are two types of regions. The country is divided into, for this purpose, for two types of regions: Northeast region and other region. If it is Northeast region, so a transaction, a customer comes and gives a physical challan for tax remittance. If it is a that is Northeastern region, then today it takes place the transaction. What is the day today? Today it is 3rd. Okay, so another 2 days, there is T+2. T is the day in which Canara Bank is receiving the money, transaction day. So if it is Northeastern day, 3+2, that is today +2, T+2, that is 3 days. That is today is 3rd, 4th, 5th. Okay, 3 days. Within 3 days, you have to T+2 days, you have to transfer the money to the government account. That is 3rd, 4th, 5th. Before the end of 5th, that's December 5th, the money should be transferred to the government account. Again, I repeat. So whenever physical remittances is received to be credited to the government account, within how many days the banks have to transfer to the government account maintained with RBI? If it is a Northeastern region, it is T+2 days. T is the day on which the bank received the money. So today, if it is received 3rd December, 4th, 5th, before the end of the 5th December, the money should be transferred to the government account. Okay. In other regions, other than Northeastern regions, it is T+1. That is, today the money is received. By tomorrow evening, the money should be transferred to the government account. You cannot say in between holidays, I have gone on leave, I have kept the paper pending, nothing, no question of no excuses. You have to pay penalty to Reserve Bank of India. So, for if it is Northeastern regions, it is T+2. For question number 31, answer is T+2. For other regions, it is T+1. Okay, number of days is T+4 days or T+2 days. Here it is T+2 days, and other regions it is T+1 day, where T is the transaction day. Here the answer for question number 31, the answer is T+2. Question number 32. RBI has finalized the framework for turnaround time for various failed transactions, and the same has been communicated by the circular dated 20th September 2019 and also in January 4th, 2020. As per this, in respect of IMPS, immediate payment system, if sender's account debited but beneficiary account not credited, the beneficiary bank has to recredit the sender's account within how many days? See, you are using the debit card, so your account is debited, you are not getting the money. Similarly, you are going to some Chennai sales, or you are going to some big shop, you are using point of sales, you are using your debit card. So after purchase, so your account is debited, but the charge slip is not coming. Similarly, you are putting through internet mobile transaction, or you are putting through a mobile banking transaction, your account is debited, the money is transferred, not transferred to other person's account. So RBI, these are all the failed transaction. So what is a failed transaction? Your account is debited, money is not coming from ATM. In the POS, your account is debited, charge slip is not coming. If the charge slip is not coming, the merchant will not hand over the items to you. Okay, you have to pay him again. So charge slip has not come, account is debited. Similarly, you are putting through internet banking transaction, your account is debited, other end money is not credited. Similarly, you are putting through that is mobile banking transaction, either through IMPS or through NEFT, whatever it is, your account is debited, another account is not credited. Then within how many days the money to be credited to the customer account? Okay, originally, when the circular has come in September 2019, RBI told it is T plus number of days. Okay, what is the days we will see. But in January 4, 2020, they changed the number. They told it is T plus number of working days. Okay, they give the concession to the bank. Originally, they told T plus number of days. Now, from January 2020 instruction, it has become T plus number of working days. Okay, T plus number of working days. Now, there are two types of transaction. One is what? One is, that is, your debit card, your account is debited, you have not got the money. Then your account is debited in the merchant establishment, in the POS, the charge slip is not credited. In these two things, the customer account to be recredited within T plus 5 working days. Again, I repeat, when ATM is debited, your account is debited, cash has not come. Your account is debited in a merchant establishment, and that is charge slip is not coming. In these two cases, the customer's account to be credited within T plus 5 working days, even without customer asking for it. Okay, T plus 5 working days. In respect of other transactions like point of sales, okay, like so not point of sale, like debit card, that is, sorry, internet banking or mobile banking, in those cases it is T plus 1 working day. So for ATM and POS, it is T plus 5 working day. In with regard to that is other transactions that like your internet banking, mobile banking, etc., it is T plus 1 working day. T plus 1 working day. And these things to be implemented with effect from 1st January 2021. Earlier it was some time back. Due to pandemic, RBI has extended the date. So these number of days recrediting to the customer's account to be done on, that is by 1/1/2021 for 1st January 2021. Okay, sir. Now let us see the question. RBI has fined. So suppose if you are not doing, if you are not recrediting within T plus 5 working days, or if you are not crediting within T plus 1 working day, then what is the penalty you have to pay to the customer? 100 rupees per day. 100 rupees per day. If it is not credited to the customer account, either within T plus 5 or T plus 1, the penalty you have to pay to the customer is 100 rupees per day, even without customer asking for it. That is called turnaround time. RBI has finalized the framework for turnaround time for various failed transactions, and the same has been communicated in circular dated 28th September and January 4. In 28th September, they told T plus number of days. In January 4th, they told T plus number of working days. So this has to be implemented on or before 1st January 2021. Okay, as per this, in respect of IMPS, that is, you are putting through an IMPS transaction. If center's account debited but beneficiary account not credited, the beneficiary bank has to recredit the center's account within T plus 1 working day. That is, answer is B. Okay, for question number 32, answer is B, T plus 1 working day. Friends, these questions, the last time in September, by December when you wrote the exam, or January when you wrote the exam, these questions were not asked by IBPS. Since 1 year time is there, the questions will come this year. Okay, sir. So I have selected those type of questions. So for question number 32, it is T plus 1 working day. Okay, it is not day, number of days, it is working day, that is revised in June circular. Okay, sir. For classification of export credit, you have a lot of questions you read in priority studies credit, no? Quickly we'll note it down. For classification of export credit under priority sector lending, RBI increased the sanction limit from 250 million. Okay, you already know 25 crores, 250 million to 400 million. That is 40 crores. From 25 crores, 250 million to 400 million per borrower, and removed the criteria of unit serving turnover up to rupees 1 billion. Okay, this was the condition that has been removed by the circular dated 20th September 2019 for all scheduled commercial banks, excluding RRBs and foreign banks. When the priority sector classification revised on 4th September 2020, this is not changed. It continues to be that today, which was changed on 20th September. It continues to be the same even today when the priority sector guidelines undergoes a change on 4th September 2020. So the answer for the question is from 250 million to 400 million, 250 million to 400 million, and remove the criteria of units having a turnover of one that is 1 billion. Okay, 1 billion, that is also removed. Okay, sir. So that is that question. Question number that is 33. Okay. Question number 33. Good. Then question number 34. In order to boost credit to the needy segment of borrowers, it has been decided by RBI by this communication that the 13th September 2019 that bank credit to housing finance companies approved by National Housing Bank for on lending to individual borrowers up to rupees 20 lakhs. You would have read in the priority sector this year also. Okay, that is whenever you give out a loan to a housing finance company, which is approved by National Housing Bank, in turn the money is lent to housing loan for other individuals. Bank loans up to 20 lakhs per borrower will be eligible for classification of priority sector housing by the respective banks. So for question number 34, the answer is 20 lakhs. Earlier it was 10 lakhs. So it is changed to 20 lakhs on 13th September. Even today, even after the revised guidelines on 4/9/2020, the same 20 lakhs continues. So answer for question number 34, it is 20 lakhs. So there is no change. That is why, so when is sir, what is this, sir? You are telling the date 13th September. On 4th September, after 1 year, priority sector guidelines underwent a change. Friends, even when the priority sector guidelines underwent a change, this has not undergone a change because last year only they changed from 10 lakhs to 20 lakhs. They continue it this year also. Okay. So up to rupees 20 lakhs per borrower will be eligible for classification of priority sector. Question number 34, answer is 20 lakhs. Then RBI has constituted a committee. RBI has constituted a committee on currency movement under the chairmanship of Dash, Executive Director of RBI, to review the entire gamut of security treasure in transit. So currency is being taken. No, once you know when the money was transferred, IOB money from somewhere to somewhere, the train was broken open in between, and the entire currency has been removed, isn't it? So RBI has imposed.
Hello, sir. Kindly wait. Sir's internet is there is some issue. He will be joining. Hello. Good evening. Yes.
Okay, am I audible? Hello, am I audible, sir? Screen தெரியுதா? ஆடிபிளா இருக்கேன் நானு. வாய்ஸ் வரல? ஏன்?
ஆடியோ ஆஃப் பண்ணி ஆன் பண்ணு.
எங்க இருக்கு ஆடியோ? இதுவா?
மைக் இப்போ ஆஃப் பண்ணிருக்கீங்க. நான் இப்போ திருப்பி ஆன் பண்றேன்.
இப்போ வருதா?
யாரோ ஆடிபிள்ங்கறாங்க.
Okay, friends. Sorry.
Yeah, audible, sir. Audible,
okay,
sir.
okay. Quick. We'll finish it off. Okay. So it has been going on very interestingly. Suddenly it stopped. Okay. Now, so that is for number 35. We are discussing at least 40 questions. We'll discuss and close the day. So question number 35. The answer is that is DK Mohanty. I already told you. Question number 36. A keyboard input error or mouse click in the financial market, such as stock market or foreign exchange market, whereby an order to buy or sell is placed of greater size than the intended. So when you are doing a keyboard error, so online you can do the share purchase and share selling. Similarly, in the financial market also, so you can do online. So by mistake, instead of 5,000 rupees, you have put 5 lakhs rupees. What is the mistake is called? This mistake is called fat finger error. So this is called fat finger error. Fat finger error. To avoid this error, RBI, by its notification dated 12th December 2019, has introduced price yield range setting on its CBS platform called namely eKuber. So RBI is having a CBS platform called eKuber. So if there is any mistake taken place, you can set it right through that, right? eKuber. So the answer for the question is fat finger error. Fat finger error. Then question number 37. As per NEFT discipline, RBI notification dated 6th December, beneficiary bank has to credit the account or return the NEFT transaction within dash hours of settlement of the respective batches. With regard to RTGS, what is the timing? So after debiting the customer's account, within 30 minutes, the PA should send it to the central server. So the PA of the receiving bank should credit to the customer's account within 30 minutes. If it is not credited, it should be returned back within 1 hour to the sending bank or before the end of the RTGS day. That is RTGS discipline. If it is not followed, the penalty is repo rate plus 2%. Here, the NEFT to be credited within 2 hours. So immediately after the end of the batch. If it is not there, it should be returned to the sending bank. It should be returned to the sending bank within how many hours? As per NEFT discipline, so beneficiary bank has to credit the account or return the NEFT transaction within 2 hours. Within 2 hours of settlement of respective batches. So for question number 37, answer is 2 hours. Answer is C. Question number 37, answer is C. If it is not returned within 2 hours, the same penalty, that is repo rate plus 2%. Okay, repo rate plus 2% like RTGS. Question number 37, answer is C. Question number 38, any person resident outside India having a business interest in India may open a dash account for putting through bona fide transactions connected with the business in rupees. The nomenclature of the account should be specific to the business. Normally, tenure of the account is concurrent with the tenure of the business and not to exceed dash number of years. The account name is SNRR. SNRR. The expansion is Special Non-Resident Rupee Account. So SNRR. These are all the changes has come in December 2019. So SNRR. Question number 38. Answer is India may open a SNRR, Special Non-Resident Rupee Account. The maximum period of this account should not exceed more than 7 years. So SNRR, maximum number of years should be 7 years. Next question. In respect of SNNR, the Special Non-Resident Rupee Account. Okay, Special Non-Resident Rupee, SNRR. I wrongly put SNNR, SNRR, Special Non-Resident Rupee Account, SNRR. In respect of SNRR account, if the nominee is a non-resident. See friends, you forget about SNRR account. In a deposit account, if the nominee is a non-resident, so whether you can repatriate the money outside? No, you have to credit to the NRO account. If you want to repatriate, you have to get RBI's permission. So either your domestic deposit or the NRE deposit. If the nominee is an NRI, then upon settlement of the nomination, you can freely credit the money to his NRO account. The nominee only is an NRI. Either for a domestic deposit, a nominee can be an NRI. For an NRI deposit, nominee can be an NRI. So you have to debit, so you have to credit the NRO account for no need for RBI permission. Suppose if the nominee wants the money to be repatriated abroad, then you have to get RBI's prior permission, either domestic deposit or NRE deposit. But with regard to SNRR, in December 2019, RBI has told if the nominee is an NRI, for an SNRR account, if the nominee is NRI, without referring to RBI, if you want, you can transfer the money to abroad. Okay, this is important change. In respect of SNRR account, if the nominee is a non-resident, amount settled under nomination can be credited to non-resident nominees. A, NRO account, NRE account, direct remittance outside India through normal banking channels, A only, all the three. So for question number 39, so you can credit to the NRO account, or you can credit to the NRE account, or you can transfer to outside India through SWIFT, etc. So answer is E. All the first three is eligible. Important change. This is applicable only for SNRR account. Without RBI permission, you can credit to NRO account, you can credit to NRE account, or if you want, you can transfer directly to abroad to the customer's nominee's account. Okay, so question number 40. Okay, sir. A non-deposit taking NBFC. This is important question. Last time they are not asked it because it was around in November, 8th November. I think around 10th November or something, 1 to 2 exam was there. And 12th January, you had the exam for your, that is 1 to 2 to 3, 3 to 4. They are not asked the question. 3 questions we'll see, we'll call it a day. A non-deposit taking NBFC, microfinance institution, that is should not have less than 85% of its asset in the nature of quality asset. Taking into consideration the important role played by the MFIs in delivering credit to those in the bottom of economic pyramid and to enable them play their assigned role in a growing economy, it has been decided to increase the household income limits for borrowers of NBFC MFIs from the current level of dash for rural area and dash for urban and semi-urban area to dash and dash respectively for qualifying asset criteria. So far that is income criteria was there. So far if it is rural area, the income criteria is 1 lakh. And if it is semi-urban or urban area, the income criteria was 1.60 lakhs. Okay, again I repeat. So an MFI can lend loan wherever the income criteria is linked to rural area if it is up to 1 lakh. If it is other than rural area, the income criteria is 1.60 lakhs, 1 lakh and 1.60 lakhs. But now, as per the notification dated November 2019, the income criteria has been increased. For the rural area, from 1 lakh, it is increased to 1.25 lakhs. For rural area, it is increased from 1 lakh to 1.25 lakhs. For semi-urban and urban area, it is increased from 1.60 lakhs to 2 lakhs. So here you see, so it has been decided to increase the household income limits for borrowers of NFC, NBFC, MFI from the current level of 1 lakh. From the current level of 1 lakh for rural areas and 1.60 lakhs for urban and semi-urban areas. What was the current level? 1 lakh for rural area, 1.60 lakhs for semi-urban and urban area. It is increased to how much? 1.2 lakh, 1.25 lakhs for rural area, to 1.25 lakhs to rural area and 2 lakhs to semi-urban and urban area respectively for qualifying asset criteria. 1 lakh, 1.60 lakhs to 1.25 lakhs and 2 lakhs. Rural is 1 to 1.25. Urban and the semi-urban is 1.60 to 2 lakhs. So the question will come. Okay. Similarly, another 2 questions related to that. We'll see it and stop it today. Further, the limit of total indebtedness of the borrower for whom these MFIs are financing has been increased. So the income level has increased. So if the income level is 1.25 lakhs in the rural area, this MFI can finance. If the income level is 2 lakhs in a semi-urban area, these MFIs can finance. So what is the maximum they can finance? The MFIs can finance. That also limit also has increased. The maximum the MFIs can finance in the rural area, maximum 1 lakh. Maximum 1 lakh they can finance. In urban and semi-urban areas, they can finance up to 1.25 lakhs. So if the income is up to, that is in a rural area up to 1.25 lakhs, the MFIs can finance maximum 1 lakh. And if the income is up to 2 lakhs in urban and semi-urban area, the MFI can finance maximum 1.25 lakhs. Okay, this you keep in mind. So has been increased from, so that where the MFIs are financing, further limit on total indebtedness of the borrower from where these MFIs are financing has been increased. Sorry, that is I was in a hurry. So again, I repeat the question. So here this point is correct. The rural area income is 1 lakh to 1.25 lakhs. Semi-urban, urban area, the income limit is 1.60 lakhs to 2 lakhs. What is the maximum they can finance either in a rural area or semi-urban area or urban area? The maximum they can finance has increased from 1 lakh to 1.25 lakhs. So the answer for the question is from 1 lakh to 1.25 lakhs, whether it is a rural area or semi-urban area. So to whom they can finance, that depends upon the income. So if it is a rural area, the income of household should not be more than 1.25 lakhs. If it is urban and semi-urban area, the income of the household should not be more than 2 lakhs. How much they can finance? Either in rural or semi-urban. Earlier they can finance only a maximum 1 lakh. Now they can finance 1.25 lakhs. Increased from 1 lakh to 1.25 lakhs. Question number 41. Answer is 1 lakh to 1.25 lakhs. In the light, so this is also related. So 3 questions I have given. Questions will come. In the light of the revision to the limit of total indebtedness. Total indebtedness how much? 1 lakh to 1.25 lakhs. The limit on disbursal of the loans have been raised from dash to dash for the first cycle and from dash to dash for the subsequent cycles. So the entire, how much loan you can give now? 1.25 lakhs. The entire 1.5 lakhs the MFIs cannot give at a stretch. They have to give in the first cycle and subsequent cycle. Earlier, the first cycle they can give 60,000. Now the first cycle limit is increased to 75,000. So in the light of the revision total indebtedness, the limits of disbursal of loans have been raised from 60,000 to 75,000 for the first cycle. Earlier, they can give only 60,000 because total indebtedness is only 1 lakh. Now the total indebtedness increased to 1.25 lakhs. So the first cycle, which was 60,000 earlier, now increased to 75,000. The second cycle, which was earlier 1 lakh, what's the maximum now? 1.25 lakhs, isn't it? So the first cycle increased from 60,000 to 75,000, and the subsequent cycle increased from, that is, 1 lakh to maximum 1.25 lakhs. So for question number 42, the answer is 60,000 to 75,000. And then to fill up the blank should come for the second thing also, increase from 60,000 to 75,000, and from subsequent cycle from 1 lakh to 1.25 lakhs. So what are the things changed for NBFC MFIs? The income criteria. Rural area income criteria has gone up from 1 lakh to 1.25 lakh. Urban and semi-urban area from 1.60 lakhs to 2 lakhs. What is the maximum they can give? Either in rural or semi-urban, from 1 lakh it is increased to 1.25 lakhs. First cycle, how much they can give? From 60,000 it is increased to 75,000. Subsequent circle, how much they can give? Increase from 1 lakh to 1.25 lakhs. So these questions will come. Okay, friends, we have to take up an online test. So we call it a day. Thank you very much. Sorry for the disturbance in between. It has happened. We'll try to set it right. We'll meet tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.